Well, hello. Welcome to Walking Boxing. Happy New Year. Yes, it is January 1st, 2025. Can you believe it? Not sure how you spent your New Year's Eve, but I'll be honest, I did nothing. And I felt very, very good about it. To the point where later in the evening, my wife Tara, I said, should we have maybe done something? And I was like, no. Would you like a house full of people, or to get home from a venue or something at this time of night with all the people around? Just no thanks. I know it's my age. I literally sat for most of the night and watched Breaking Bad. I've seen it before, but when you just get an urge to watch an old series that you've watched before, only the once, but I really wanted to do it again, and so I'm immersed in it for the second time, and I watched that till about 11:30, and then went into the bedroom and just watched a bit of TV because both my sons went out last night. One was home at 12:30, the other at 1 o'clock. Am I missing something here? What is it with young people these days? I just remember when I was that age, if you went out, you went out. You'd be getting home at 4 or 5 in the morning. It's good though. It's good to actually get them home, because in this day and age, of course, yes, it can get a little bit dangerous out there, even though both just went to parties at their mates' houses, but it's good. It's a dangerous place out there at the moment. I didn't see any of the fireworks. I literally didn't see anything, and I'm not sure if I should feel guilty. Let me know what you think. What did you do? But I'm just quite happy in my own environment these days. And if not going out and everything is a little bit sad, well, I'm happy to be a little bit sad. Anyway, I was happy. We had a barbecue dinner, which was good. Sat in there, as I said, and watched Breaking Bad, and had a few treats and put the feet up and just saw in the new year that way. But anyway, happy New Year to you, no matter how you spent it. And into January now, and I must admit, January is not my favourite month. And the reason it's not my favourite month is because we just get through. Like, Christmas is great, New Year's is great if you do something for New Year's, but just the whole New Year's thing. It's a new year, new beginning, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure the gyms will be packed tomorrow. Everyone will have their resolutions and stuff. I don't make resolutions. I just make decisions that for the better for my personal circumstances, and don't need a date to click that into action. But anyway, each to their own. But because then we're into January, and the reason I don't like January is because already it started. What is it, the 1st of January, and the debate about Australia Day starts. Now, I'm not going to get into it all. I know there's different people out there have different views, but the whole month is spent debating about Australia Day. And when you've got I just heard the news on the radio before I recorded this, saying great news that Woolworths, our major supermarket in Australia, has decided to stock Australian flags for Australia Day. This is what we're coming to in Australia, where it's news that our major supermarket is going to start stocking Australian merchandise for Australia Day. And as I said, it's the month where as a proud Australian, we're made to feel guilty for loving our country and celebrating our country. And I know everyone's got their own points of view, and I don't really care about other people's views. That's great, everyone's got their own. But for me, it's just a month-long debate of me trying to make me feel guilty for loving my country and wanting to celebrate it. But anyway, and that's not the way it should be, I don't think. Instead of spending the month looking forward to celebrating our great country, we spend a whole month almost being forced to hide under rocks. Not good. Anyway, that's another story. I've spent about 4 minutes talking about everything other than boxing. What I thought I'd do actually in this, because obviously there's literally zero going on at the moment. I'm not sure whether you're a bit fed up with my stories and everything, but in the last few days, me and every other probably content creator out there in the boxing world we've given our review of 2024, maybe our wish list for 2024. Some have even made predictions, I suppose, but it's been pretty much a review and then a wish list for 2025. What I'm going to do today, I've got no script here, by the way, just go through some of the divisions and just maybe predict what is going to happen. And there's a big difference between what I want to happen and what I wish to happen to what I think will actually happen. So we'll go through it division by division. I won't go through every single one because there's not a lot of interest, I don't think, in some of the divisions. But I mean, if you start at heavyweight, my prediction, February 22nd, we've got Daniel Dubois and Joseph Parker. My prediction, I think Joseph Parker is a massive chance of upsetting Daniel Dubois. Just call it a gut feeling. I think he's at the peak of his career, Joseph Parker. I'm still not sold on Daniel Dubois. I know that sounds a little bit silly after the great fight he had with Usyk. And of course the win over Joshua. It's just something for me, it's still missing. He reminds me a little bit of maybe Frank Bruno back in the day, one of those types of fighters who can just be showing up a little bit with someone with a little bit of style and ring IQ. And I think Joseph Parker has got that. Anthony Joshua fought a ridiculously stupid fight when they fought. Went after Dubois, and even when he got caught, just kept coming, and it was always going to end the way that it did. But someone like Joseph Parker, who's smart, he's calculated, he's a good boxer, as I said, good ring IQ, I think he has the ability to beat Daniel Dubois. I really do. Now, regardless of who wins that fight, the winner of that I think will fight Alexander Usyk in the second half of 2025. I don't think we'll see Alexander Usyk till maybe, I don't know, August or September next year, and it will be the winner of the Dubois-Parker fight. And as I said, I've got a really strong feeling it could be Joseph Parker, which I think would throw another dynamic onto the heavyweight division. I mean, Usyk's already beaten Dubois. Why not throw Joseph Parker in there and have yet another challenge? Because I'm not sure whether the Daniel Dubois fight is really the fight that he wants. I mean, he didn't look overly interested in the ring after his fight with Fury. I know it was straight after the fight, but he just didn't seem that interested about it. And I think he's the type of guy at this stage of his career who needs a challenge. And who knows, if it's someone like Joseph Parker who upsets Daniel Dubois, maybe that's the challenge that he needs. And then we unify the belts again. Maybe that's what he needs. The other prediction in the heavyweight division, I think we get Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. I really do, and I know that was also on my wish list. I think we get it. There's really nowhere for each guy to go at the moment. If Usyk and Parker and Dubois, all that are tied up for the majority of 2025, who else is there that's going to get these guys excited? I think even though their careers are heavily diminished now and they're on the back nine, as they say, what else is there? Both of them have lost twice to Usyk, so that's out of the picture. Dubois has already beaten Joshua. I'm not sure Dubois-Fury happens. I just think it's the most logical fight. And I don't really think it's a gut feel, I just think it's business. I think they'll get it done. The only thing I would like to see is if they do fight, or when they do fight, just do it in England. Don't worry about Saudi Arabia, make the exception, get the fight done in England. And I think I said the other day that this could possibly turn into a trilogy, at least a two-fight series. And I think it's still got some appeal, I really do. Not as much appeal as it did in the past, but I think if they fought, I think especially the English boxing fans would be all over. Because you've got to remember, this is probably a leaf out of the UFC book. It's not just about your record and who you've just lost to or whatever it might be. The UFC look at their, there's a bit of spider web there. The UFC look at their fights and their events in like as a sole entity. Like they don't get too stressed about, but the fight's got no appeal. He lost to such and such, or he lost to such and such. No, they look at the fight as it is. What a fight that is at that particular time, and don't get too stressed about results and records. And that's the way I think we should look at Fury and Joshua. Don't worry about the fact they're both coming off two losses to Usyk and Dubois, of course, against Joshua against Dubois. Look at it that what a great fight this is for English boxing, and look at the matchup versus the matchup, each fighter versus each fighter, not what's happened in previous fights, because I think they've both got something left. I think Fury was okay. I think his motivation levels are waning a little bit, but I think Joshua, okay, he fought a dumb fight against Dubois, but before that was looking okay. I just think it's the fight to make. As far as some other heavyweights goes, I just think a lot of them will tread water. There's not really much they can do. I think they'll just get fights on the cards of those big fights. I'm not sure whether Zhilei Zhang goes. Not sure You know, there's probably a few out there, Hergovich and all these types of guys. Just not sure whether we're going to hear much of them. There'll be some prospects come up. I think Otoma will be rushed along. He'll have another 4 or 5 fights, and they'll start looking at big fights for him. But I think apart from those sort of couple of big fights, I don't think there'll be a lot of activity except for being on the undercards of those fights, if I'm being honest. Cruiserweight, I think it's just a given that if Jai Opetaia beats Nyika next week, I think it will 100% be Zurdo Ramirez and Jai. I think obviously Jai wants the fight. I think Zurdo Ramirez has made a really strong case and commented about the fact that he would like that fight. So I think we get it. And that's probably the only fight that matters at cruiserweight. At light heavyweight, I think I've got a feeling, again, just a gut feel, that Artur Beterbiev gets the job done again over Bivol. Now, again, I thought Bivol won the first fight, but I think this time Beterbiev, I think he gets a little bit more active, throws a lot more punches and puts a bit more pressure on Bivol, who I don't think has got that much more to offer. Again, I thought he won the first fight, but I've just got a feeling that Beterbiev has got a little bit more that he can show. Not so sure about Bivol. So I think Beterbiev gets the job done there. Morrell and Benavides, I think David Benavides gets the job done. I think Morrell is capable of winning, but I think David Benavides wins the fight. I think he stops Morrell late and maybe sets up a fight with Beterbiev later in the year. I don't think it's going to be the case, but it's possible. I've got a feeling we might get that fight, if we get it at all, in 2026, and maybe Benavides goes up. But that's what I think of those two main fights: Beterbiev over Bivol, Benavides over Morrell, and then I suppose, who knows, guys like Connor Wallace here in Australia might sort of put themselves in a good position, like Sam Goodman has when they win away, and you never know, they might get their opportunity. At super middleweight, who knows? Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here again with the gut feel. I've got a feeling that Canelo and Crawford will take place. I think it will. And I'm pretty sure there's even been some whispers about May, with Cinco de Mayo. I just don't think there's anything for Canelo at the moment. And just reading about a few things about Crawford and looking at his body language and some of his social media stuff, I think, you know, he seems up and about, and I've got a feeling he knows something that we don't. Again, just a gut feel. I think Canelo. Who else is he going to fight? Maybe Christian and Billy, maybe Pacheco. They're not really fights that really, you know, that will cement his legacy. I know he's already got a great legacy, but I just think we're going to get Canelo Crawford this year. I think that's going to be the fight. So keep a lookout for that one. At middleweight, I don't know, and I don't really care, if I'm being honest. I just don't think there's anything out there. And look, Janabek and Lara would obviously be a good fight, but I'm not sure that fight happens. I think actually Janabek and Lara, my prediction is they'll both waste another year. I think Lara will just knock out the Michael Zarafas of the world and Danny Garcias of the world, sort of the fringe guys. And I think Janabek will probably continue to obliterate overmatched opponents. I hope I'm wrong, but I've just got a gut feel that that's what's going to happen. At 154, oh geez, who knows what's going to happen there. I think, I think Virgil Ortiz beats Madrimov, no problems. I think Madrimov fought well against Crawford, but I think Ortiz is another level above, so I think Ortiz beats him. Sebastian Fundora, what is going to happen with him? Who knows? He's almost in handcuffs with PB season. He's just has no idea what's going on with his career. And I know I've spoken about Errol Spence. I'm still not convinced that fight gets over the line. Look, it probably will. And I suppose I'll go out on a limb, if you want to say that, and say that the fight will happen. I don't reckon it will happen until maybe mid-2025. And it's just a wasted time for Fundora. By that stage, it would have been almost 2 years since Spence has fought. The only other fight I could possibly see, if it's not Spence, it will be Fundora and Crawford. If Crawford can't get the Canelo fight, I think he takes Fundora. That's the fight that I think that'll happen. So, but yeah, if you're on the PBC side of things, I really feel for you, because you're just going to tread water. I know there's talk about Charlo coming back. I'm not so sure he gets back, at least in 2025. On the flip side, I think for our man Tim Tszyu, I think he has at least the first 2 fights next year, or sorry, not next year, this year. He has a couple of fights this year. They'll be strictly against journeymen, maybe with a bit of a name, but no threat. And he'll do those fights in Australia, try and get the fan base back up and about here in Australia, get a bit of confidence, maybe get a rating back. And then maybe at the end of 2025, he might maybe have another leap into the world scene. I think Sergey Bohachuk will be avoided at all costs. I'm not so sure. Well, I was going to say avoided at all costs. Maybe not, because I've got a feeling Turki Al-Sheikh has maybe promised him a big fight in return for stepping aside for the fight with Madrimov. I've just got a feeling that's what will happen. And I think that's probably about it for 154. 147, I really couldn't give two shits. Boots Ennis, well, do something or just shut up. I mean, what are you doing, mate? Has had no big fights, hasn't been looking for any big fights. I don't expect him, by the way, to step up to 154 when he's not ready. I mean, he's a 147-pound fighter. He's got the world title, I understand that. But I don't see any talks about any big fights with him at all. I just think he'll probably fight once or twice this year against no names. And he'll just have a year in obscurity, and people just more talking about what they'd like to see from him instead of what he's actually doing. I did say the other day I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Conor Benn. I don't know what the hell Conor Benn doing. He does more talking than fighting as well. I don't rate him at all, Conor Benn. I think Boots Ennis would win that fight easily, even if they fought. At 140, pretty interesting. I think Teofimo will fight Subriel Matias and beat Subriel Matias. I think Valenzuela will repeat the dose against Pitbull Cruz, especially with Robert Garcia in his corner. I think Liam Paro will spend the year. He'll probably have a couple of fights of rebuilding. I don't think he gets a big fight. I think he'll get another opportunity this year. And I think the only option for him might be to fight countryman George Kambosos, who is apparently going to fight in March. Now, of course, hard to give a prediction with George when we don't know who he's fighting, but I've just got a feeling that, yeah, Liam won't have that many opportunities this year at the top level. I'm sure he'll get some big fights or a opportunity at a decent fight at some stage, but I just think more and more that we might get George in March, Liam maybe in April or something like that against just whoever opponent, and then I would think that George and Liam will target each other later in the year. At 130, I mean, not really much going on there. Who knows what Navarrete is going to do. Sorry, did I miss 135? I did, sorry, I missed 135. I think as much as I'd like to see Davis and Zepeda, I think it'll be Shakur Stevenson and Zepeda. I think Shakur Stevenson will beat, no, hang on, William Zepeda, Shakur Stevenson. I think Zepeda beats Shakur Stevenson. There you go, I've said it. I think he's going to be too strong, too busy, and we might see a little bit of a situation of the Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney type of situation. I think Zepeda wins. I don't think Loma fights again. I know he hasn't made a decision yet, or some say he has, some say he hasn't. I'm going to say, well, actually, I might backtrack on that. You talk about gut feelings. I know I'm all over the place here. All right, I'm going to say that if he gets a fight with the likes of a Tank Davis, maybe. If he doesn't, I think he retires. What's he got left to prove? I know that's sort of sitting on the fence a little bit there. And Tank Davis, your guess is as good as mine. I think he'll just keep beating the Frank Martins of the world. That will be it for Gervonta Davis. He'll keep talking. He'll have one fight for the year, and it'll just be one of those fringe type of guys. And I hate to say that because I want to see him in the big fights, but I think that's the best we can have to offer. And I think the biggest fight at that weight will probably be Stevenson and Zepeda. And as I said, I think Zepeda wins that fight. Just getting back to 140, by the way, I think Devin Haney will be back. And I think he might fight Teofimo Lopez later in the year. Okay, I forgot about that one. So I think he might have a tune-up fight maybe in the first half of the year, and I think he fights Teofimo Lopez in the second half of 2025. As I said, at 130, I don't know, Navarrete, is he going to hang around? Is he not? I think he'll just continue to fight couple of the contenders in his division, but nothing real exciting. Shaki Foster, yeah, not really much around for either of those guys, so I can't really make a prediction. I think they'll probably just both have their mandatories and a voluntary and just go about with no fanfare. At featherweight, same thing. Nick Ball, I mean, who knows, maybe he'll get a rematch with Vargas. I know there's Espinosa there. I think it'll be a bit of a quiet year in the featherweight division. At 122, this is the interesting one, isn't it? Naoya Inoue. I think he'll take care of business with Sam Goodman pretty easily. Then I think, I've got a feeling he might have another fight against just a top 10 type of opponent, make easy work of them as well, and I reckon we might get the Junto Nakatani fight in late 2025, and what a fight that would be. So that's what I think happens there. I think at 118, not a lot. I think the Japanese fighters just continue to dominate that division. Junto Nakatani will probably make another defence before fighting Inoue later in the year. And as I said, the Japanese fighters will just probably fight each other, and the belt might exchange hands a few times. Bam Rodriguez at Superfly, I think he might have a couple of fights and just obliterate whoever he fights, and then in 2026 step up to 118 and look for that Inoue fight, or Nakatani maybe if that's the case. So there's just some predictions there, guys. I mean, it's really hard to say what's going to happen here in Australia, because I mean, you know, there's not that many big fights, I don't think, here in Australia. I don't think. Come here, man. Let's cross the road. Some of our fighters, I mean, you look at the top guys. Come here, man. I think Jai Pataya will take care of Ramirez, as I said, and probably have another 1 or 2 defences, and then look to move to heavyweight in 2026. As I've spoken about, Tim Tszyu, George Kambosos, Jason Maloney's obviously got a big fight, February 24. I think he gets the job done, and I think he gets a world title fight later in the year. Liam Parra, I've spoken about. Andrew Maloney, I think he'll get another opportunity, whether it's a world title fight or not, but I think he'll get an opportunity against a big name opponent, whoever that might be. Maybe it's a Chocolatito or something like that, I don't know. I'm not sure whether that fight happens, but you just don't know. But I think he'll get an opportunity at the top level again, and then the rest is up to him. I've already mentioned Sam Goodman. I think the others, you know, I think it'll just, some will get opportunities overseas, some won't. But I think, I'm not so sure we're going to have the year that we had in 2024. I think it might be a bit more low key. And obviously we're going to have to settle, or things will have to settle on the DAZN and Foxtel situation as well, or what's going to happen there. But either way, I'm sure there'll be regular fights, regular pay-per-views, all that sort of stuff, and it'll be another big year. I just don't think we're going to have, you know, the 20 world title fights that we had this year that featured Australians. But you never know. You never know. So guys, what are your predictions? Do you agree with what I've said? You don't agree? Again, just put it in the comments below, and happy to have a chat about it on Monday night and on Talking Boxing as well. So guys, have a great 1st of January 2025. I hope you're off to a good start in the new year, and we'll catch you tomorrow.